And we are live in StreamYard. Now remains to be seen if we go live on YouTube, because we had our first major malfunction. And we are live. We are live on YouTube. Yoo-hoo!
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So we're sitting here, a number of high-tech guys, and we are struggling. Or at this time, it didn't work for me. So we take two. Take two. Hope, guys, you found a new stream. And we have a special guest, Box Mining from Hong Kong. It's now even closer to midnight.
Excellent. Amazing. Feeling really good, actually. Thank you guys for inviting me. I'm Michael, and I'm based here in Asia, in Hong Kong. Glad to talk about everything that's crazy going on here. So really excited to be on the show.
And James, early morning in the US.
All good here.
And Ivan and me in Sweden. It's already dark outside at 4 o'clock now. It's November, but we love November because markets are up and we have an absolutely amazing agenda, actually. So I will add the agenda slides here. We will talk about spot ETF in Hong Kong, regulatory exchanges, institutional money coming into Asia, our Bitcoin targets. The coins aren't moving on chain anymore. Fidelity, what are they saying about Bitcoin? What's the macro picture? Tether has disclosed a lot of information, actually. We always joke that James, the Solana support team, has had a very good time. What is happening with Ethereum? And is Altseason back? Are NFTs back? Is DeFi back? And our great admired friend, Elon Musk, is launching AI. What does it mean for how will this fit into with crypto? And what are our altcoin bubblers? So should we start in Hong Kong? What is happening? Everyone is tweeting about it today, but you're the only one on site, Michael. What is actually happening?
So basically, the head of the Securities and Futures Commission. So basically, that's our version of the SEC. So it's SFC here in Hong Kong. She really came out and said, so this is Julia Leung says, we welcome proposals for innovative technologies that boost efficiency and customer experience, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're looking into ETFs in spot BDS for retail in Hong Kong, which is big, right? This is like, this is unheard of. This is like the exact opposite of what's happening in the States. I mean, if you look at what's happened in the States, Gary Gensler saying, no. He finds a million reasons not to get this Bitcoin ETF, and he gets grilled hard on it, and he couldn't even answer if Bitcoin is a security and commodity in a second, right? It took him like 30 seconds, a minute to answer that question. But here in Hong Kong, regulatory friendliness is really coming, and they're really looking at it. And the way I see it, guys, is that they wouldn't talk about this without having the necessary homework done already. They're just really, I think they're just warming the public up to the idea before it gets announced. So this is really, it's not just exploring. I think this is a much deeper stage than, Julia Leung is saying.
And just in case anyone is confused about how the world looks like, this is a picture that has guided me in my life for a long time. Can debate if it looks exactly like this, but the blue line, that's Europe. We used to be great once upon a time. The yellow line is Americas, and the red line is Asia. And it kind of crossed somewhere there, 2000, 2005. Depending on who you ask. But generally, the world looks like this. While when we listen to social media, the US is taking over everything. It's maybe because we're louder in the West or something. I don't know. But it's not really representing how the world looks like. There is enormous capital in Asia. So...
Yeah. I just want to really quickly just say a few words because my mic apparently is very high. So if you guys, Lars or Larson, can you reduce my mic volume by a little bit?
I think this is probably the last time we will use
more tech
StreamYard. Because
okay. But I can reduce it on my end as well. Let me reduce it by 2 blocks on my end, and it should be good. Great.
I have automatically adjust mic volume ticked. So that means that it's the software that is setting your and mine and everyone's mic volume.
Got it. They say NIP parses sound is okay.
I can untick it and we can try without.
Okay, cool. All right. And I just want to add a little bit about the Hong Kong bit as well, just for perspective for people who are new to understanding what's happening in Asia. Hong Kong is part of China, so it's a weird one country two system sort of thing. So you have to say it's Hong Kong, China. But we have a separate legal system here. We have a separate financial system here. And in many ways, we're a testbed for what is happening in mainland China, because the Chinese government, they previously said no to crypto. But what they're doing here is they're using Hong Kong to testbed new ideas. So this is why Hong Kong is going very aggressively into crypto. So you can see that whole U-turn. And it's largely pushed by China to let us kind of be the guinea pigs or the test net for what's to come for China. So that's why it's very interesting and very important to look at. So it's not just affecting Hong Kong, but it's a test bed for what's going to happen for China.
But Michael, there is one experiment which is in the other way with CBDCs, where China has it adopted, right? Or at least in some regions. And it's not yet in Hong Kong. You think it's going to come to Hong Kong, or they're going to keep it to China?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that was the other crowd. So there are two crowds that were happening in Hong Kong FinTech Week. So this is the biggest FinTech-based conference in Hong Kong. It's actually hosted by the Hong Kong Treasury Bureau, and there were multiple talks about the eHKD. So they're looking at it. They are heavily looking at all these innovations, and you can see that they were very behind, right? If you look at the history of Hong Kong and stuff, when China banned crypto, Hong Kong followed suit to ban crypto as soon as possible. And they didn't really look into or explore any of this kind of CBDCs. They went traditional route. If you look at the FinTech Week as well, all the booths were not crypto related, but now it's like full on 180, right? You got Animoca has a booth there, OKX has a booth there. You can see that. Hey, I brought my video up, but you can see all these finance guys in suits just looking at what's happening and what's new in Web3, and you can see a big difference as well between who's drawing crowds. HSBC, if you look at their booth, I'm not sure if I featured them, but they brought their mascots out for the new PayMe system, and it's not very exciting. No one really cares. Everyone is looking at Animoca, the games. They're looking at the digital currency, and they're looking at how blockchain can be incorporated in there. So it's actually pretty interesting.
And you had government agencies issuing NFTs on the event.
It's
organized by the government, right? The event is organized by the government.
But a monetary authority, right? And not just like the normal, it's not just like, hey, the Leisure Bureau or something, right? This is like the monetary authority. These are the guys who make money, right? They literally issue out money. They're like issuing out NFTs. So it's a full-on change in just how I think the Hong Kong's looking at this. It's crazy.
And they issued it on Polygon, right? They issued the NFTs on Polygon. We're not talking private blockchains here. It's not like government-managed blockchains. It's public blockchains. Correct.
Yeah. It's amazing.
What about all the Chinese projects from 2017? They're all dead or no? Like Neo, it's pumping hell last week. It's back, or what's happening with that?
Yeah, they're coming back. They need to come back, right? So Neo actually had a DevCon, so we actually featured them. And then there's there's a Pigment blockchain. I don't think you guys even heard of that, but they had a booth there in FinTech Week as well. So huge change. The Chinese, but you have to remember, Chinese have always been there. They've just been less vocal during crackdown times, and then now it's like the mice are out.
VeChain, Ontology, all of them are in the background,
everything's coming back. Yeah, everything. Ethereum, remember Ethereum's the biggest Chinese shitcoin. So it's been lurking. Just joking.
I just said before I started, I watched in 2017. I watched Box Mining and Ivan on Tech and learned about projects like Neo and things like that. And here we are again, six and a half years.
We're back. We're back, baby. How many years? It's been 6 years, but we're back.
Amazing. Let's move on to Bitcoin targets, because what a week it's been, and what a couple of weeks. And James, do you want to start? How do you see the overall Bitcoin situation? What's your targets from here? And how do you see this period?
There's a lot of bullish news coming out from many different perspectives. I think Fidelity said it is the most exceptional risk reward as an investment going back in time. And of course, Jurian Trimmer from Fidelity is a very big bull. But then there was another company, I think Sin Futures, said Bitcoin could hit $47,000 by the end of November. So it's like it goes from one extreme of nothing but negativity to nothing but positivity right now. So the narratives are very strong, and the space itself is very stable, and Bitcoin's under constant accumulation, and the spot ETF is coming, and it's getting the attention of many people right now. Especially people are much more in tune with kind of capital controls, fiat debasement all over the world. They see it now for real, and they understand it. 10 years ago, nobody paid attention. Now, with the amount of debt that's been created around the world, people are wise to it. And you see, Michael and I were chatting earlier about capital flight out of mainland China. It's been leaving for a long time, but it just hit a record amount too. So the world is on edge. The world is panicking, and people are looking for safety. Bitcoin hits the box on that one. So good times ahead. Very excited for the next 18 months.
Do you have any targets?
Well, my target was always for the halving by April 2024 to be between $35,000 and $42,000.
Huh?
And that's now a week target, because we're already at 35. So I think literally 42 could very easily be possible, or even higher by April. And we could also, if the spot ETF is approved before Christmas, it could be crazy, really crazy.
Ivan, how do you see the market?
Yeah, I want to show something that also you, James, showed in one of your videos, which is very important, and that's the hodl wave, which basically shows that most addresses, or actually most Bitcoin, is not being moved at all now. So the demand is growing. We do see more and more activity. We do see more addresses being active. Yes, there you go. But as you can see, this is basically a chart that shows through time how much percent of Bitcoin is moved and when was it last moved. So when you see a lot of red, like for example here in 2018, it means that a lot of Bitcoin is moving. So here on the left you see the percentages. So here about 50% of all coins have been moving recently, because it's yellow like in the last 1 year, and then orange last 6 months, and so on and so forth, and red is like the last 24 hours. So you can see here the amount, the percent of all supply that is moved and when it moved. And as you can see now, it's just been declining. This red part is declining, which means that nothing is moving now. You see, it's very small percentages there, like 1%, 2%, 6%, all of these different red and orange areas. And then the bigger amount of the total supply, bigger percentage of the total supply has not been moved in years, with this with this chunk here becoming bigger, which is the 10-year plus chunk, the purple one, and all other ones that are 1, 2, 3, 5 years also becoming bigger. So as we see more global demand for Bitcoin, there's just less and less Bitcoin to buy, because it's only a few percent that are circulating. And then when the bull market comes, and when we get all-time highs, again, normally this percentage goes up, because then people buy and sell and there's more FOMO. So the percentage of Bitcoin that are active and moving, it goes up. So now the fact that we are so low in this active Bitcoin that is moving means that most likely, guys, we are at the brink of a bull market. Because normally before the bull market, this is at its lowest. Bull market comes, it comes back again. So it's very interesting to analyze this hodl waves, and how much hodlers are holding versus the demand from the outside. And you can see the demand if you look at active addresses, which is a straight line up. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly here, and then you compare it to the supply being active. It's a massive difference. Let me show here. SMA 14-day.
And while you bring that up, James, you also have another view on this similar topic. Do you want to bring it up as well? One that you show about how coins are not moving, which is illustrating it slightly different.
Well, we just hit a new record the other day where 90% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in 90 days. It's never happened before. So if somebody wanted to come in with a big bag of money like a BlackRock, literally you could argue just 10% is available for sale. And if the demand exceeds that 900 million a month of issuance, things will go crazy. And $900 million is not a lot of money nowadays. $1 billion used to be a lot back in the day, but not these days with the amount of money that's flowing around. So the other thing that's interesting about this run is things are happening earlier. We're seeing a lot of things that kind of are going up earlier and faster, which is a reflection of how much supply there is as well. And yeah, it's a crazy time. The other thing as well, we've never entered a Bitcoin bull market where the available supply is going down. And that makes it very interesting too.
Yeah. Ivan, you had this one.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at addresses with a balance, for example, over 1K, it's straight up. We did see this decline in this bear market, and we recovered it very quickly. I mean, you clearly see here when the bottom was hit, the accumulation started, and just the number of addresses skyrocketed with balance above 1K. And most people today still can accumulate 0.1 Bitcoin, for example, maybe even 1 Bitcoin. Most people in the Western world, if you really put your mind to it, you could get together enough capital for 1 Bitcoin in the Western world. But the time is running out, guys. In the next cycle, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be impossible for most people to get 1 Bitcoin. So this is the final and maybe last chance to accumulate, and the time is running out.
Yeah, I agree. And this chart is interesting also, is this coin days destroyed, which is taking the coins when they were moved, multiplied by how long since they were moved last. So, and that is at one of the lowest points it's been, meaning that people who have held Bitcoin for a long time, they don't move them now, which is another view of what the same thing that James said, same thing that Ivan said, just another view to kind of illustrate that same thing. So it is very interesting. The long-term holders are not moving their Bitcoin right now. So that makes me positive, because we're right now in the middle of the range. If this was the breakout, we're having a consolidation running channel here, but the resistance isn't really here. The resistance is up at 40K and a little bit more. So it seems quite possible that we continue up towards that resistance if the big players aren't not taking any action here. I mean, we don't know for sure, right? We don't know what the market will do tomorrow, but if we try to look at the different clues, that's a positive sign if we are positive to Bitcoin. So let's move on. We already talked about BTC coin stopped moving. Fidelity, it's how big asset under management do they have, Fidelity? Does anyone know that?
4 trillion.
4 trillion. Yeah. So it's like a tiny tiny company of 4 trillion that are saying things like this, that Bitcoin is exponential gold. I actually went into Fidelity. If you Google like crypto trading, it says trade crypto, open account here, trade Fidelity crypto Bitcoin. They are not shy at all here with their how they present this. So it's very, very positive. Let's continue to catch up a little bit on the lost time. What's the macro situation then? Because big things have happened also on the macro side. I just show some charts first, so we're all on the same picture. This dollar strength index that we talked about many times, that had a breakout over this 106, it fell down, it dropped back into the range. The yield, the US dollar 2-year yield that looked like it had a breakout, it fell back into the range. And this has given stocks a massive recovery, massive recovery. Gold has had a huge run up. Long-term commodity investors saying this is one of the most bullish charts they've ever seen. And you can't really see it here, but if we zoom out, it's making another run for this breakout. So all these factors are really playing nicely now with Bitcoin, because usually when the dollar gets weaker, the hard assets tend to go up, and same thing with the yield, at least on short-term basis. So what is happening now with the macro situation? James, you always have great analysis. You're on the ground and you see what's happening. What's going on?
Just a couple of quick things. One, November is typically the best month of the year, so expect stocks to go up. We had a very clean bounce in the S&P 500 off that support level of about 4,100. It's just a V-shaped recovery, and it's just a seasonal thing. Stocks do well this time of year. A lot of the bad news is past, but all eyes are on now after the Fed doing 2 pauses in a row. They never hike after 2 pauses, so the next step will be another hold or a cut. And a cut will come when something bad happens, like another couple of bank failures or something else. The whole economy is very rocky, but that doesn't impact stocks.
And Ivan, what do you see from your side?
Yeah, just to double click on that, James, about the recession. Many people are asking on my channel and they're wondering what about recession is gonna come, but in my mind, this all macro stuff, it doesn't really affect Bitcoin. The cycles are the same. I've been saying the same thing for weeks and months, that when you look from the top to the bottom and the recovery from the bottom, and then you measure the weeks, it's exactly the same, no matter which macro, micro. But I know you, James, you did like a whole video on the recession topic. So yeah. What's your conclusion there? You think that Bitcoin's going to be like gold and be the safe asset, or what do you think?
Well, I think in a macro view, a recession is definitely coming. It's just the question is how the governments measure it and how late they are to recognizing it. And by the time you find out you're in a recession, you're already out of a recession, is the old adage in the markets. But the labor market's softening. People have record levels of debt. They have no cash anymore. And you think people are defaulting on credit cards and car loans and everything else. We had a multi-month rise in unemployment. And the numbers that they even post for the actual employment numbers are fake, and they're always revised downwards. But the Fed is pleased. I do think every indicator you look at, every historical macroeconomic indicator points to a recession hitting Q1, Q2 next year. But it'll be brief, and that's when the money printer will really go into high gear again. But it already is going into high gear. They've added $2.5 trillion in debt over the last 14 weeks. So the money printing is happening. It's just not trickling down yet.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I see it both ways, that Bitcoin is either gold, and half of the world probably believes that Bitcoin is digital gold. It's very clear. You look at Fidelity and everyone else, they're speaking about exponential gold. It's fantastic. But the other half of the world sees it as tech stock. So in my mind, both scenarios will be good for Bitcoin. If we see a recession, okay, then it's gold. If we see printer back, risk on, okay, Bitcoin is also risk on. This is very. I've never seen any other asset like this. But in my mind, both directions are bullish. Whatever happens, Bitcoin is the solution, because it's just fundamentally better than what we have, and there's no way to improve the existing system. That is gonna grow no matter what. If they crash now, it's good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the solution. If they don't crash now, they keep printing. Well, it's just that they're delaying the crash, so Bitcoin is the solution. So that's how I see it. It's bullish.
I love the pump. I love the pump, Ivan, man. It's so true. It's so true. But there will be periods when, Bitcoin follows the stocks and whatever, right? So I guess there's going to be rocky bits in between. But in terms of fundamentals, absolutely, I totally agree with you, Ivan. There,
Michael, how do you see the macro situation now from Asian perspective? Is liquidity going to come back? Or?
I will be honest. I'll be a little bit hesitant to say everything here because yet again, it's quite sensitive now. If you are critical of the Chinese economy, generally they try to want to put that on a rug right now, and they're trying as much as they can to try to keep capital inside of China. And try to prop up the housing market. The housing market is such a big play here. I mean, who would have known that Bitcoin would be correlated sometimes to the Chinese housing market? But that doesn't look too stable right now. So I think this is one of the reasons why there's such a huge demand in China for gold. I've never seen such a we've seen it before, but I think I never seen it on this scale before. Like if you go to gold shops, people are flocking back to gold shops again, and not and most of it's outside of China because the Chinese have a slight gold premium, so people are flying into gold and digital gold, which is Bitcoin. So I think the gold is there already. Digital gold, I would say maybe give it 3-4 months when all the roads are open. That's when I think the explosion could come.
Very interesting. Let's press on in the topic list, because Tether is critical for this whole crypto ecosystem. We talked about it many times. If there would be a huge dump, that would be some catastrophic event like Tether depegging or Binance going under or something like that. And at least I haven't really seen it before they issued this report. So they have saying now that they have 84.5 billion Tether tokens, and this is how it's backed. And if you add all these numbers in the green, it adds up to the same amount. So they're saying that they have US dollar treasury bills. Then they have they're investing with some of the money. So they're investing in Bitcoin, in gold, in other things, and then they also had some secured loans outstanding that they are now saying that they have they're working to reduce those secured loans to zero, partly because Bitcoin has gone up, and so now they're saying they have an excess reserves of $4.3 billion. James, you talked about this in one of your most recent videos. That's where I hadn't actually seen this one before. Do you want to comment on this? What's going on here? You're on mute.
Sorry, it shows you how lucrative stablecoins are, and that's why players like BlackRock want to get in the business, because you have money and now you can generate 5% return on it with treasury bills. In fact, Tether is the largest purchaser of US treasury bills today. Also, their excess returns that they make, so if they make 5% on 74 billion, they buy Bitcoin with that. So they've also become a very big Bitcoin buyer. And as Bitcoin goes up in price, you can see this excess reserves is probably $10 billion in 3 to 6 months. And that's just insane. They are printing money, literally. And they're very clever the way they're allocating it. And I do believe as well, Tether probably had a hole in the last 3 to 4 years at some stage. They were underwater. But now that's completely turned.
So you're saying here that Tether has gone from maybe the biggest systematic risk, and I think just like you seeing this, that they are actually investing with the money. And the only difference here compared to some other guy who took customer funds and invested with them, who didn't go so well this week, seems that they have invested better. So they have excess reserves. And now,
but I'll be very critical about this, because this is them claiming it, right? And I think this is the problem with crypto, where it's normally the common saying is don't trust, verify. But how do we verify this, right? Do we have screenshots of the bank accounts, which we don't have? It's very, very opaque as to what is actually going on. So I think this is a situation where I wouldn't trust anything on this page, to be honest. I can trust that they have a certain amount and they're making money on it, but are these good investments or bad investments? We don't know. Did they buy luxury sports car with it? We wouldn't know either way, right?
Exactly. If there's one thing we learned 2022 is that it's practically impossible to sit from outside and think that we have any idea what's going on with the money on the inside. So that we all learned the hard way. So absolutely. Well, what they are saying here is that they're taking excess reserves and buying Bitcoin and gold and stuff, which if it is true, which we don't know, but if it's true, that would be great. And it would be great also if they could get rid of these secured loans and stop being a systematic risk. So that I found very, very interesting, actually. Now let's move on. I see in the comments, 50% of the comments is about Solana. So let's talk about Solana. And if anyone has slept under a rock, Solana has had a massive pump from the bottom to the local highs, we had a 486% increase, which is almost 6x increase. I'm sorry, I forgot to here. So from the bottom in December 2022 to the high a couple of days ago, it was up 486%. And it's been a clear range breakout, and we covered it many times here on this channel. James, do you want to do the honor, and what has driven this increase, and how do you see Solana from here?
Well, it's become one of the easiest ways is what Chris Bernitsky said. It's become the consensus trade of this bull market. ETH was the consensus trade of the last one, and now everybody's looking at Solana as being the possible chain that can do it all. And with the breakthroughs in scale and throughput, it really puts it on the map, and it's getting the attention also of institutions and big investors. And all the money, literally this year, 92% of all the money flew into Bitcoin and Solana funds so far. And there's so much FUD as well about FTX, but they went and staked, and we'll see. So it's always been kind of the best, cheapest, fastest, most secure, with a few bumps along the way. But they're investing very heavily, especially with Jump Crypto, into robustifying the actual system itself. And then it will become the chain that kind of does it all, I believe. I was describing this yesterday, Mike. I don't know if you see the same thing, but people get upset when markets go down, and people get upset when markets go up if they're not on the right assets. It's a weird thing,
It is. So is Ethereum over? Ivan, do you want to represent Ethereum?
Ethereum help desk.
Ethereum help desk.
Is getting over? Well, ETH seems that the sun is shifting towards ETH a bit, as we are getting some nice pump now. Let's see, are we above 1900? It was moving in that direction. Oh, right now we're actually exactly at 1900. So yeah, let's see. Both Solana and ETH are gonna do well. I mean, for me, it's not a conflict. I know some people, oh, you like Solana, you don't like ETH, what else? But the worst guys are Cardano. I mean, they're the worst guys. If you don't, even if I mention Cardano, but I say too few words about it, they're upset. Man, I mentioned it, but they say you didn't talk enough about it. No, but with
they're religions now. Probably... They're religions. All these coins are religions now.
Yeah, but ETH probably will have its time in the sun now. Maybe UCT will have the charts quicker there with ETH to Bitcoin ratio, as we are starting to come up there as well. Yeah, I mean, right now it's still on the Larson line bearish. Hopefully it's a rounded bottom for all the ETH bulls, including myself. We need to take out that high there to the left. But yeah, I mean, all in all, DeFi is coming back. On DeFi Llama, if we saw, I don't know if you have it in front of you, I can also pull it up. DeFi Llama showing that CVL is...
I can show it. I just pointed out what Ivan is showing here. This is a double bottom on the BTC chart. So if it, I mean, charts don't predict the future, but it's a possibility. If it will turn, it would turn with some sort of pattern like that. So it will be interesting to see how it goes from here. And I think I put up DeFi Llama.
Yeah, you see there, we're starting to see the TVL move to the upside there at the very right, and I think that's the most important thing for all L1s. Like we need this thing to find the bottom and start to create higher highs, because if that thing goes up, then Solana gonna do well, ETH is gonna do well. It means that there is more and more traction on all of these projects, and most importantly, I think we need cross-chain interoperability. So that's where Chainlink and CCIP come in. That's why Chainlink probably is going to have a big role this bull market. If they manage to roll it up, as they will be growing from only Oracle to now cross-chain infrastructure. So you can, for example, place a trade on Solana and it's going to get routed through all liquidity pools on Solana and ETH and layer 2s. I mean, this is the future we're heading towards, where you as a user, you don't even know like which chain is executing exactly what. Just like when you are an internet user, you don't know which protocol is executing what, whether it is SSL, HTTP, TCP, you just click buttons, bam, 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 everything just works. We are getting there with blockchains, and with the help of Chainlink and Axelar, we're going to have this cross-chain interoperability. And whether it's Solana or ETH on the backend is going to play a smaller role. And yeah, and we can be part investing in all of this early on. And it's still early on. ETH at 1900 is cheap. Solana at $40 is still cheap. ADA, someone else can tell about ADA, but I guess that ADA is also not expensive at 35 cents. So early on, and now is the first time we see TVL coming up again, hopefully in sustained matter for this in a sustained manner for all of this industry as a whole.
Michael, how do you see these altcoins and other altcoins who were one of my altcoin heroes?
Altcoins,
6 years
yeah.
ago, now we get it straight from the source.
Hey, you'll be all smiles. You know I'm holding altcoin bags. Absolutely. I do have one request though. So every time I see markets moves, especially like during pumps, Ethereum gets extremely expensive. So right now we're at 42 Gwei for a transaction, which is just 42 too much in my opinion. But if there's one request, guys, please use layer 2s. Like, let's start migrating over to layer 2s. I think they're more battle tested now, so it should be a lot cheaper in the future to transact. Because last DeFi market, I think the amount of money we're spending on gas was like just nuts, right? I think there are times when I was pressing a button and it's like the transaction fee was $200 or some shit like that. So let's please, guys, let's move on to those layer 2s, baby.
Exactly. Do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it right fucking now. Can we swear?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Family friendly, exactly.
Let's. How do you see? Do you feel that this is the beginning of Altseason, or is it still too early? I can add one more view that could be a lead up to that. You don't need to read the text, so don't panic, guys, here now that you can't read the text, because I will explain what it's showing. It's a list of projects that have turned up on Large Online against US dollar this week, and it continues down. I just couldn't fit them all on one page. And on the left side, you see that there's a yellow tiny dot. So they've turned up against dollar. The second column is a blue dot. That means that all those projects that are turning up against dollar are still down versus BTC. And of course, there are exceptions. There are a few exceptions, but they're very few. There are very few of the altcoins that everyone is excited about because they're making money in USD terms, but almost all of them, they're still trending down against Bitcoin. So when will this change, guys? Do you think that this could be the start of Altseason, or are we still in Bitcoin land and everything, all the excitement in altcoin is really just driven by Bitcoin going up, with a few rare exceptions being like Solana that has actually gone up also against BTC this period? Where do you think we are in the market? Who want to start?
Okay, can I just say one word? So I do believe we're a bit early because like there's so much talk about institutional adoption, and I'm actually really excited to see how institutionals go in. But they're a little bit slower than most people predict. So I do see that Bitcoin will lead, and then altcoins will just like, it'll be like insane because just how much Bitcoin will go up, altcoins will come, but I do think it'll take like a few more months. It's a little bit more deep. I do believe it's going to be a bit more deep.
Very interesting. Ivan, what do you think? Where are we in the market cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just need a few more weeks of waking up and seeing like everything being super green and bubbly. Let me share the bubbles here on Morales Mania. I wake up every day, I see these bubbles. For the last 2 weeks or so, it's been looking like this. You wake up, there's always a few here that are 20, 15%. And the more time passes, and it is like this, and now it's been for 2 weeks maybe, the more are people willing to be part of this, the more FOMO they feel, they missed out, this and that. And also the more projects launch, because there are many projects that have all kinds of things that they want to launch, but they're waiting for the correct moment. So soon I think we're going to see so many tech announcements, partnership announcements, new developments, new versions, and so on and so forth, that the momentum is just going to grow and grow and grow. Now, whether it's going to be enough or not right now, like whether this is still going to continue for the momentum to build into this critical mass that is needed for all of that. We still don't know, but it's a good chance. I mean, when it happens, it happens. When it happens in the meme season, it happened in a week past, and it was a totally different world, and everything was mooning. And Bitcoin dominance did not really register that. When I look at Bitcoin dominance now, it didn't register the altcoin move that happened then. So that's why I find it a bit hard to see on Bitcoin dominance and use it myself for this altcoin moves that can happen instantaneously. Especially the one that we saw earlier this year, because it was in the new coins with small caps. They did very well, but the big coins did not. So that's probably why it didn't register on Bitcoin dominance. But now we do see the big coins moving. Solana, we all saw. Injective soon at all-time high. So is there room for altcoin season? All depends on how many people believe in the altcoins, and the more days we see like this with 20% pump, 15% pump, and many of them at the same time, the closer it is. But something is definitely different. I mean, this wasn't like this just 3 months ago, 2 months ago, that we wake up and there are so many coins green like this in the top 100.
James, what do you see? Where do you see we are in the markets? Bitcoin versus the altcoins, or you don't see them as a category? Do you see them more as individuals, say Solana and so on? How do you see this? You're on mute.
The whole space itself is so varied and so fragmented. And as we know, in any other industry, only 1 or 2% will actually survive. So we look at what is it, 23,000, 28,000 coins out there and tokens. You got to be extremely selective in excising the best ones that have the best product market fit, best utility, etc. There are things pumping that literally have no utility, but say, for example, mining, with huge promises of being these incredible chains in the future, and people are YOLOing into it. But it's just, we still see a lot of crazy stuff happening. But I do think Bitcoin is in a class of its own. I think ETH is still the 800-pound gorilla. It's nice to see it break 1900 as well over the weekend. It's coming back a little bit. And there are some very interesting other ones like Render and Injective. I've had a great year. So you got to just be very selective. There are things that will pump as well because of conferences and because they haven't pumped yet. But, you know, you might get 5% or 10%. Who cares? What you're looking for is the 3x, 4x, 5x. And
what about those little dogs that give you 200x, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a good comment here. Will the FTX estate cause sell pressure in Solana and GBTC and ETH, you think?
I honestly think this factored into price already. I mean, Solana dumped from 200 all the way down to like 20 something, right? So the people corrected for that already, and the way I see it, they overcorrected for the dump pressure coming out of FTX and the non-believers, and that's why there hasn't been any really critical changes in how the Solana is going to be moved from the FTX estate, right? So now I feel people are just more bullish because they feel like, you know what, that can be absorbed. Why not?
Robert Vermouth, CTO, hates Bitcoin. No, I do not. My biggest speculative exposure by a long mile is Bitcoin. So I do not hate Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. I'm just not interested in holding a lot of altcoins in a downtrend. I want to hold them in an uptrend. That's why I'm so interested to kind of figure out when the next altcoin market begins for real. Before that, I try to be very surgical, not kind of a broad approach, because as you see, most of these coins, they are up in dollar, but they're down in BTC. And then why take the extra risk? Because altcoins are much riskier than Bitcoin. There's so many things that can go wrong. You know, team rug pull. There's a bug in the code. They get bored and quit. There's like 1,000 things that can go wrong. And then if the upside isn't bigger, why not just hold Bitcoin then? That's my reasoning for this.
Well, that's a reason. But okay. In my last defense, all right. In the defense of altcoins, you're looking for those 100x's or some crazy gem, right? Because even if you have 10, if one of them does 100x and the rest go to shit and go to zero, you're still up. right? That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part about altcoins, right?
I love
crazy.
altcoins. And something else speculative might also be back, because I mean, what is happening? What is happening in the world? Homer Simpson is doing NFTs, and
but I'm a bit concerned.
Like someone had generated, or is it fake, or is it real?
They're supposed to do this at the peak, guys, not at the lows. So I'm a bit concerned with that one. It should have been when Bitcoin is 500K that Simpson does it.
Yeah. There is some snow coming down here also. I haven't actually watched the episode, but are NFTs back? You guys think?
Yeah, I mean, the volume is back. Volume is growing. Volume is very convincing now. But it's like with alts, a few of them are doing really well with the big communities. For example, penguins, apes. Still, although they kind of got their community blind. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was actually in Hong Kong, Box Minds. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was. Hey, Nathan was there. I interviewed. We were there. We were there. Just that we were lucky enough. Like, so I left a little bit early, but then some people got there, and the douchebags with sunglasses. You know how like even at night some people wear sunglasses. They were safe. Everyone else totally destroyed.
They tweeted that Ape Fest is gonna melt faces before the conference, and now they removed the tweet because it was for real. No, but listen, NFTs, it's kind of like altcoin, because with Blur Marketplace they made NFT trading exactly like altcoin. You trade the ticker, and then like you don't care which ones you buy, you just sweep the floor, or you treat them as you treat them as altcoins. So it's kind of like altcoins. And there is some news with OpenSea as well. They laid off 50% of the staff, and many people say, oh, it's bad it means that NFTs are dying or OpenSea is dying. But in some cases it can also be good to make the company more leaner, because they had many employees to do a website with trading NFTs. Probably they're gonna come out stronger now that they're fewer, they can iterate faster and be quicker. So yeah, I mean, overall NFTs I think are definitely gonna be back. Gaming, many people are so excited about gaming. They're here for the gaming run. On Solana I saw this Star Atlas. They had a demo in the breakpoint. So NFTs, it's an asset that is tradable, and if it's tradable, people are gonna trade it, people are gonna mint it. So it's basically like altcoins, and people are gonna speculate if it's possible to speculate. And with NFTs, it's also a bit more fun. Yeah.
Like Ape Fest actually had a lot of people. Like, why not, right? Like, I was pleasantly surprised by the number of real people that gathered there. Like, tickets were sold out at the end. Had a large venue. They packed it. The people come from all over the world to share their love of NFTs. As much as the rest of the world hates NFTs, some people love them. So I'm not gonna judge.
That's all that Yuga Labs tweeted that only 1% got their eyes injured, so 99% are okay. So it's pretty good risk reward still. So one other interesting topic I think that has happened this week is that Elon Musk is launching an alternative to ChatGPT. And from a technical perspective, the AI as such is very straightforward. We had it like when during the time of the dinosaurs, when I went to university, we basically had the algorithms already. There just wasn't enough computing power, and there wasn't enough input to make anything useful out of it. And now there is. And now Elon Musk sits with the biggest source of actual human input with Twitter, now X. James, you are following his investments. Do you think that he had this plan from the start to kind of use Twitter as data input to an AI? Do you think
he first of all, he's like a 3D chess player. He's always like 15 moves ahead, and nothing is by chance what this guy does. He doesn't disclose all of his plans, but he definitely had a plan for Twitter going back a long time. And it goes back to his original PayPal vision, which was to create a global financial platform, which they didn't exactly pull off. But he can now do that with a combination of having some type of blockchain underpinning to X, combined with real-time data and news. I mean, if you're looking for a breaking news, You go to Twitter first, and then 15, 20 minutes later, the mainstream media will catch up. They actually go to Twitter to find out exactly what's going on. And yeah, it's not perfect. Sometimes things could be wrong. Sometimes they could be correct. But the combination of that real-time global information feed with AI underpinning real-time information models, and then when they get turned into a big financial platform, I mean, the sky is the limit. But their whole thing, Grok, he was the original funder of OpenAI. He's got deep history in this space. Plus, he's also doing AGI with FSD for Tesla too. So again, everything is kind of synergistic and colliding together.
And I don't know. I never thought in my life that the biggest companies and the most important things in the world are modeled after the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which I read and I thought was so funny. And no one in my entire city, my entire town, I grew up in a small town in Sweden called Mjölby. I think I was the only person in the whole town who had read it. And I tried to retell some of the jokes. No one ever laughed. They thought it was so dumb and nerdy and stupid. And here we're sitting.
But guys, about the AI, man, I was so happy when it happened yesterday, because ChatGPT, they started and it was interesting. Now it's woke, mainstream, censored chat interface, so it's useless basically. And I don't like anything this mainstream touches. It needs to be zero woke, zero mainstream. And Elon is the only person that can resist that, because he's been attacked left and right. Mr. Beast, by the way, you see, mainstream media, Mr. Beast builds 100 wells in Africa. They attack him because he does it for views. Man, what the hell? He built it. You built 0 and he built 100. But so all of this like crazy activism stuff, Elon is the protector. He's protecting social media against that with X, and now he's protecting AI with XAI. I love it. I was so happy when I saw it yesterday.
I'm glad there's another fanboy. Well done, Nathan.
I'm being radicalized the more I watch your channel, Jeff.
I think so too. I think it is fantastic. And I couldn't sign up because it says your country isn't supported on the wait list. So Elon Musk, if you are watching, please add Sweden to allowed countries to sign up, because then you have 2 more customers here at least. Haven't tried with VPN, but I guess it's based on the Twitter location. The X location.
But I've got a very quick question from Michael. It might be going off the agenda, but I did back in May 2023. I did a video on a China crypto, and there was a list of select cryptos that were chosen by Hong Kong to work with first. There were Avalanche, Filecoin, XLM, Polkadot, Chainlink, Cosmos, Solana, Ethereum Classic for some strange reason, Binance, Litecoin, Matic, Cardano. Has that list changed? Has it got more expensive, or was that just a fake list back in May?
So yeah, it's more or less a fake list. So if you look at markets right now, so in terms of what's being traded, if you look at this one, this is Hashkey Exchange, right? So this is the first exchange to actually launch with the VASP license. That's the virtual asset service provider license. Sorry, the camera sucks ass, but those are the, let's see, 1, 2, 3. So it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Bitcoin USDT, and Bitcoin and Ethereum again. So you got 4 coins. I asked them about listing policies. So right now, the coin has to be listed on an index. They didn't really specify which index, but it has to be listed on a reputable index for at least a year before it gets listed in Hong Kong. So it's very, very stringent policies at launch right now. What's going to be interesting is what's going to happen. Like, there's one detail I think I mentioned offhandedly, but I'll mention it again. So this exchange, Hashkey Exchange, it's very Chinese. All right. So this is like Hashkey founder is the same founder as Wangshan Blockchain. So it's a Xiaofeng, right, who is rumored to have 1 million Ethereum, because he's one of the early investors in Ethereum. So not $1 million of Ethereum, but 1 million Ethereum, ETH. One of the original believers in Ethereum, and he has one of the biggest funds in China, right? And this exchange was opened by him, and he has some of the deepest connections with the Chinese government as well. So this exchange is going to be kind of pivotal for us to understand what the Chinese like. So whatever they list, the Chinese like for sure. Okay, let's just I'll be honest there. And there's a lot of Chinese hands reaching into this. So if you want to see what's on here, what's listed, so basically just go on Hashkey and just see what they're doing. The last thing I said or wanted to say was with Hashkey Exchange is that they have their native token called the HSK, which is actually very interesting because this is given as a loyalty reward point to users right now, so you can earn the HSK, and they're trying to use it such that if you refer a friend or something, you get the HSK token. But what's kind of interesting is they're not allowed to trade it until 1 year later. So
can you buy it? Is it like available to buy?
No.
You can't buy it anywhere.
My access is restricted. China
restricted, very restricted. So I think it's like they're kind of like worming it in. Like I never expected this exchange to launch with a token, because this exchange is the first exchange launched in Hong Kong under the VASP license, right? So if you think about it, this is the flagship exchange with so much Chinese backing as well. To launch their own token with this exchange was extremely aggressive play, and like you don't see like Coinbase launching their exchange with a token already, right? Like, oh, let's you don't see Kraken doing that, but you see Hashkey doing that. So I see this as like super aggressive, but at the same time, they're just a little bit sneaky about where the coins can go and where it can be traded. And I think this is a trend from now on. They're going to be a little. We just have to watch what these guys are doing and try to figure out how the policies are being worked.
And you said also, I watched your video, and you said that they have a list. The government has published a listing criteria. Is that correct?
Yes, listing criteria. But it's this is highly political.
It's how it works.
More political than it's more political than anything else.
Yes, it could change, but at least, I mean, compare with the US, where the SEC won't answer. They just won't answer the question. The head of the SEC is sitting in Congress. They're asking him, which coins are security? Is this a coin security? Is Ethereum a security? Yes or no? And he's not answering yes or no. He's answering other words. And it's so unclear. And then in Europe, we have this MiCA regulation coming, making it very clear. In Asia, there is even listing requirements published. And I understand they can change, but at least they exist. And then US, land of the free, are stuck in this very unclear situation where no one really knows what they're allowed to do, which is very unfortunate. James, when do you think that this situation will clear up? Do you think the US policymakers start feeling stress, seeing these things happening in Asia at this point?
I'm not sure what the US policymakers actually see at all. I don't know. They don't see what's happening on their own doorstep. So
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, Michael, we lost your camera, I think. Maybe you're replugging.
Yeah, I'm probably restoring it. Oh, good, coming back. One thing to add about China as well, that's quite interesting, is China's very pragmatic. Yes. So by pragmatic, I mean the government really does look at rules, but the rules can change depending on how fluid the economic situation is, and also by how much money there is at stake. So bigger projects, I think, stand a big advantage here because they can get the right push, so to speak. I'll leave it at that.
Understand. We have actually covered all the agenda points except the last one, alt bubblers. Do you guys have any new projects that you are following that you're excited about? And we're not talking about Ethereum or Solana or Bitcoin outside that list. Anyone want to go first?
Well, let me just do one, which is fundamentally, so no fundamentals, although maybe it has good ones as well. But in Moralis, we just integrated Chili's into our APIs. And Chili's, they're working with football clubs. So they have, for example, Barcelona, they have Tottenham. It's quite a special blockchain. I don't know if you guys have followed it. And their coin is getting into a bullish trend. So if I am to shill anything, as you asked, CTO, We also have this, let me share with you. So all of you guys who are devs and you want to build with Chiliz and basically integrate the Tottenham coin or FC Barcelona coin, like these are the biggest football clubs in the world. And Chiliz is opening up for all devs. And you can see yourself, they have over 150 sports partners, 82 fan tokens, this and that. So with our APIs, you can do anything, query all NFTs, all tokens, everything. And here you can see some use cases that you can build, for example, on top of FC Barcelona coin, on top of Tottenham coin. So I think this is quite interesting. It seems that this industry still is a bit underplaying, or how to say, it's not valuing enough this kind of retail window that we have, because people who watch football and bet on sports, they're the perfect people to bet on crypto and start trading crypto. Here is where crypto meets non-crypto in a way that makes sense. When you look at, for example, this, Starbucks doing NFT somewhere, like, it doesn't really make sense. It's a bit of a gimmick. There's no business. There's small, tiny business case, which is not even core business of Starbucks. But here, football, betting, crypto, fantastic. It's all coming together. So that's the one that is new in my content. So if you guys are watching the channel, you know this is new that we started to cover with our integration. And yeah, more updates to come on that.
The chilling we're doing here, guys, is to do some cool programming, use the Morales SDK, and develop something cool
APIs,
and take crypto to 1 billion football fans or something like that. That's what we need. Michael, do you have anything special?
I'm going to say Solana. I'm going to leave it at that. Solana. Let's go. Like, just some.
James, do you have any new projects that we haven't talked about on this channel before that you find interesting? You're on mute.
The two that I like, well, it's kind of, they've run an awful lot since then. One is Render, and the other one is kind of like an AI play, and the other one is Injective. I consider probably the most interesting decks, but they've just, especially Injective, has been insane. That one is very frothy now.
And it's great to see these DEX projects doing well. Another one, the one I thought to mention that I've covered many times on my channel, is this Thorchain Rune, which is like DEX between chain, cross-chain DEX. And at these times when the centralized exchanges have really been, it's a rough time if you're a centralized exchange operator this week, because it turns out that you actually will probably go to jail for 110 years or something if you take the customer's funds, which you're not supposed to do. So, which is very interesting, because isn't that the business model of a bank, to take the customer funds and trade with it and hope that you do well? Otherwise, you go and ask for a bailout if you traded on bond market and the bond market went bad on you, and then you get the bailout. While in crypto, it seems we are actually setting a higher standard. You're not allowed to take the customer's fund and go speculate with it. Because if you then speculate badly, the customer's funds are actually gone and no one is bailing you out. So that is that really emphasizes the true value of crypto and blockchain, which always was about self-custody and taking out the middleman. And here we are with decentralized exchanges doing really well. So I'm really happy to see that. And that's why I wanted to mention that, because there are a few projects that have really been innovating here and trying to push this technology forward. And I feel that Thorchain is one of those projects that have worked diligently for 4 years to try to make that happen. Despite our technical meltdown in the beginning, James, do you want to?
No, I'm a little bit late for something. So
yeah, I was actually going to say that we are done, and we almost kept the time, considering the. So if anyone from StreamYard is watching, this is not a happy CTO. That's the only thing that can't happen. That's that it kind of malfunction. It said that it's streaming from the software, but nothing is arriving in the YouTube end. So we had to close that down, create a new stream, and start again. that's not supposed to happen. So I think next time from my channel is going to be back to the Ecamm Live, which we changed from because that one had another bug before, so it didn't work to screen share. But now we're going to go back to those, and I will send an angry email.
All right.
Feel good.
Well, Michael, pleasure meeting you, sir. And
Pleasure meeting, guys.
CTO and Ivan,
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
so much for the time. And next week,
Thanks,
it's
guys.
on
And make
Ivan's
sure to
channel.
subscribe to everyone's channel, to James, Michael's, Ivan.
Smash the likes.
Smash the likes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
It's been
everyone.
great.
Bye-bye.
Respect
Bye-bye.
the pump.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bitcoin will be
Thanks,
pumped.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.